Hi guys, taking the next chapter of your SYJC bookkeeping and accountancy. The name of the chapter, analysis of financial statements. Analysis of financial statements. A very simple and a scoring chapter. Earlier in the old syllabus, there used to be only theory. Now, after the change of syllabus from 1819, they have made this as a practical question also. And for y'all, I would say it is a very good thing. This chapter was there in degree college. In fact, it is there now also. It is there in degree college, but at a bit advanced level. So the basic is what you are going to study here. Of course, there are more parts in degree, but for your SYJC junior college syllabus, they have restricted the syllabus very basic along with just limited parts. What it is, we will get into that. Okay. Now, analysis of financial statements. Now, when I say financial statements, there are two main financial statements which you all know very well. You all have done it in FYJC, you all have done it in this year SYJC also. And the financial statement, what I'm talking about is nothing but your trading P&L and the balance sheet. These are called as your financial statements. Trading P&L and balance sheet. So, financial statement means final accounts, what you do, the statement showing the details of assets and liabilities, and the account which shows the profit or loss. Now, when I say analysis, analysis means presenting them in a different form where you make certain calculations to judge the financial condition of the company. Analysis means to present it in a specific way, which way we will see in some time, to present it in a specific way and do some calculations and little bit presentations in a different way to judge the financial position of the company. Okay, how to do? Slowly we will get into that. Now guys, see, in your syllabus, there are 4 parts in this chapter. In your syllabus, there are 4 parts in this chapter. One is comparative statements. I'll tell you one by one क्या है उसमें. Second, common size statement. Third, you have cash flow statement, a very important part. Every company also in the accounts what they publish, they have to make a cash flow statement. Of course, यहाँ पे you are a very basic thing. And the fourth what you all have in your syllabus is ratio analysis. The fourth what you all have in your syllabus is ratio analysis. So 4 things you have in your syllabus. Now let's take one by one. When I say comparative, comparative means they will give you 2 years ka balance sheet, current year and last year, or they will give you 2 years ka income statement. Income statement is your trading P&L in a vertical format. What is vertical format? I am coming now in some time. So what you have to do, from that 2 years ka data, as the name suggests, comparative, you have to compare as compared to the last year, current year में कितना increase or decrease हुआ है in terms of amount, and you have to calculate uska percentage. Just keep this in mind. When I come to this part, that time I will show you in detail. So comparative means comparing current year ka figures with the previous year ka figure. Now when I say common size में you will be having just 1 year ka data mostly. Very rarely they can give you second year in your SYJC syllabus. What you have to do is, you have to take a certain amount as the base and calculate the percentage. Now say for example, you have made a balance sheet. Balance sheet you have to make in a vertical format, which I am going to do in this session. How to do we'll see in some time. Now say for example, balance sheet ka total, not normal, what you do assets liability. Vertical balance sheet ka total is 10 lakh rupees. So what you have to do? Whatever are the amounts in the balance sheet, you have to see each and every amount is how much percentage of that 10 lakh. Each and every amount is how much percentage of 10 lakhs. And in case you're doing income statement, then you have to see how much is the percentage of net sales. कैसे करने का? That I come to the relevant part. When I come to that, we will see. Don't worry, I'll be making a video separately for all these parts in addition to what I am going to do today. आज मैं ये चार में से कुछ भी नहीं कर रहा हूँ. क्या कर रहा हूँ? You'll come to know in some time. Coming to the third one, cash flow statement. Now, as I told you, cash flow statement is a statement which is to be made compulsory as per the Companies Act. Of course, SYJC syllabus makes basic. Again, यहाँ पे they will give you 2 years का balance sheet. यहाँ पे they will just give you 2 years का balance sheet or they will give you 2 years का amounts without balance sheet. What you have to do? Say for example, bank है, cash और bank. लास्ट ईयर का मेरा कैश बैंक इज 1 लाख, करंट ईयर का मेरा कैश बैंक इज 1,50,000. सो 50,000 इंक्रीज हुआ. सो यू हैव टू मेक अ स्टेटमेंट, स्मॉल स्टेटमेंट शोइंग हाउ दैट 50,000 इंक्रीज. वो कैसे करने का? व्हेन आई कम टू द वीडियो ऑफ दिस आई विल शो यू. एंड द लास्ट वन, रेशियो एनालिसिस. Ratio analysis is a formula based part where there are many ratios, but in your syllabus you just have basic 7 ratios where you have to do some calculation, and on the basis of that calculation you find out the profitability or the solvency position of the company. That means whether the financial position is good or no, profit percentage is it good or no. In your syllabus, you just have to do the calculation. Commenting part comes in advanced level, which you will study when you go to degree college. Got it? So you have 4 parts. Don't worry. As I told you, har ek ka basic recording I'll do, and all the videos will be open, the first basic videos on YouTube. Okay? Now you will say, sir, आज क्या कर रहे हो? Now listen very carefully. ये 4 तुम्हारे syllabus में है. ओके, ये 4 तुम्हारे सिलेबस में है. नाउ टू डू द फर्स्ट 2, एज आई टेल यू, यहां पे 2 साल का बैलेंस शीट रहेगा, यहां पे फॉर्मूलाज है. टू डू द फर्स्ट 2, देयर इज अ फॉर्मेट which we call it as vertical format. There's a format which we call it as vertical format, which is normally used by companies. इसमें क्या करना है? Now say for example balance sheet. Now how we do our normal balance sheet? हमारा normal balance sheet कैसे होता है? You have liabilities, amount, assets amount. Okay? You have liabilities and asset. This we call it as T form. You know why T? Because देखो ये T लगता है. Or we call it as horizontal balance sheet. Now यही format, यही balance sheet को you have to convert into vertical format, because to do common size and comparative you will need the vertical statement. At the same time, when you prepare your income statement, that is trading P&L, जो तुम लोग ने FYJC और starting of the year किया है पार्टनरशिप फाइनल अकाउंट्स में, we prepare trading account, we prepare profit and loss account, उसे हमें वर्टिकल फॉर्मेट में कन्वर्ट करना है. ट्रेडिंग, प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट, उसे हमें वर्टिकल फॉर्मेट में कन्वर्ट करना है. सो बिफोर आई गेट इनटू द फर्स्ट पार्ट, व्हाट आई विल बी डूइंग इज आई विल बी टेकिंग 2 recordings बिफोर आई स्टार्ट कंपैरेटिव. आज वी विल सी हाउ टू मेक द नॉर्मल बैलेंस शीट इनटू वर्टिकल. आई विल सॉल्व वन सम. Next video, I will take income statement, solve one sum, and then I will come to this, because these 2 you cannot do without knowing the vertical format. And you never know, in exam they can ask you vertical format also. Whether they ask you or no, to do these two, you need to know the vertical format. तुम लोग बोलेगे सर ये क्यों कर रहे हो? Take my words. If you understand this, you will find this very, very simple. And if I straight away start with, it will unnecessarily create confusion. And I don't want that situation to come. I want to make things very simple for you. Got it, guys? So these are the tools what you have in your syllabus. Tools matlab calculations and presentations where you can analyze your financial statements, give predictions on the basis of presentation and calculations. Kaise karne ka we will see after few days. So now in this session, first I will discuss the vertical balance sheet ka format with you and I will solve a basic sum. Next class mein vertical income statement, and after that I will come to comparative. Okay, I'll just be back. I'll just rub the board and make the format and come. Okay guys, before I make the format of the sum, let me first explain you in detail and then we will solve the sum and make the format. I'll take some more time to make the concept much clearer. Now see, as I told you, your normal balance sheet, what we make, okay, what you all have done in FYJC and SYJC, we make it in two parts: liabilities and assets. Okay, as I told you, that we call it as TYT, liability assets. Now यहाँ पे we are supposed to make vertical format. So vertical format क्या है? Instead of writing everything here on the left and right, everything is written one below the other. So there is first of all no debit credit. It is just a statement where all the items are put one below the other. Now listen, vertical balance sheet में क्या आएगा? As I told you, this balance sheet has normal balance sheet as liability and asset. Same way, your vertical balance sheet has two parts. One is sources of funds and the other is application of funds. One is sources of funds and the other is application of funds. Now listen, ये दोनों में करना क्या है? Now when I say sources of funds मतलब पैसा कहां से आ रहा है? Sources of funds मतलब from where you are getting money. Sources मतलब पैसा जो बिजनेस में यूज हो रहा है वो कहां से आया. And application, understand the logic. Application means जो पैसा आया, application means जो पैसा आया वो कहां यूज किया. I repeat, sources मतलब पैसा कहां से आया and application मतलब जो पैसा वो आया, जो पैसा आया है, where you have used that money. So your vertical balance sheet instead of assets and liabilities will be split in two parts: sources of funds and application. Of course इसके अंदर भी asset and liability आता है, but the presentation is different. Now listen, let's take one by one. First let's take sources. What I told you, sources मतलब पैसा कहां से आया. Now if I ask you a question, तुम्हारे पास suppose you have 5,000 rupees with you. Okay, just take an example. I ask you, अरे ये 5,000 कहां से आया? What you will say? सर घर से निकाला है, मॉम डैड ने दिया है, पॉकेट मनी है, खुद का पैसा हो गया, मॉम डैड का पैसा तुम्हारा ही. और यू विल से सर फ्रेंड से बोरो किया. Got it? Understand the example. If I ask you तुम्हारे पास 5,000 है, वो कहां से आया बेटा? You will say सर घर का पैसा है, मेरे पॉकेट मनी में से आया है. और यू विल से मैंने फ्रेंड से लिया है. So in short, when I say you have money, there can be only two types of money. One is that what belongs to you and the one what you have borrowed. So when I say what belongs to you, that we call it as owner's funds. What belongs to you, that we call it as owner's funds. And for companies, we use the word shareholders funds. So you can call it as shareholders funds or owners funds. But अगर पार्टनरशिप फर्म और सोल ट्रेडर का बैलेंस शीट है, then we use the word owners funds. Got it? Owners funds मतलब खुद का पैसा. And when I say second, borrow किया है, किसी से लोन लिया है, so that we call it as borrowed funds. Okay? So I'll repeat. Sources of funds मतलब पैसा कहां से आया. When I say पैसा कहां से आया मतलब there can be only two ways. एक खुद का पैसा है, सेकेंड किसी से बोरो किया है. Got it? Now, when I say owners funds, उसमें क्या क्या आता है? You all know very well FYJC का basic. You all have done in admission also. When you start a business or when a new partner is admitted, capital comes into business. So owners funds में क्या क्या आएगा? Owners funds में you will get capital. Owners funds में आएगा capital. Let me check the angle of the mobile. Yeah. Capital plus the reserves. Reserves मतलब क्या? जो तुमने प्रॉफिट्स अर्न किया है, यू हैव डन ना एडमिशन में, रिटायरमेंट, डेथ में, जो प्रॉफिट्स अर्न किया वो मेरा खुद का पैसा है. सो जो कैपिटल जिससे मैंने बिजनेस स्टार्ट किया था प्लस जो प्रॉफिट मैंने अर्न किया, एंड फ्रॉम दिस वी डिडक्ट fictitious assets. Now fictitious assets in your syllabus, the chances are very less, but what is fictitious asset? याद है FYJC का एक्सपेंडिचर क्लासिफाइड इन थ्री कैटेगरीज: कैपिटल, रेवेन्यू, डिफर्ड रेवेन्यू. fictitious asset is nothing but deferred revenue expense. That means you have incurred an expense today which is not a fixed asset, but uska benefit you will take over a number of years. Fictitious asset means those assets, actually they are not buying of assets, they are heavy expenses incurred, where you incur the expense now and the benefit of that is taken over a period of years. And the benefit of that is taken over a period of years. So that is called as fictitious assets. Clear with this? When I solve the sum in this session, you will study in detail. So owners funds, capital plus reserves minus fictitious assets. When I solve the sum, again I'll explain you in detail. Right now just understand the basic. And borrowed fund मतलब किसी से borrow किया, किसी फ्रेंड से लिया, किसी बैंक से लिया, किसी फर्म से लिया, किसी पार्टनरशिप फर्म से लिया, सोल ट्रेडर से लिया, all that will come in borrowed funds. So खुद का पैसा owners funds, जिससे borrow किया borrowed fund. For company we also use the word shareholders funds. Okay, so this was the first part, sources of funds. How to present, that we will see in the sum. Now coming to application of funds. Application is divided in three parts. Sources दो main part में था, application तीन part में. उसमें से the first part is fixed asset. उसमें से the first part is fixed assets. You all know very well, you all are studying since FYJC. Fixed assets means all your tangible, intangible. Land, building, plant, machinery, furniture, computer, laptops, goodwill, patent, copyright, trademark, all fixed assets, tangible, intangible, come under this head, fixed assets. Okay, next. Second, what you have is investment. You all are doing since FYJC, balance sheet में investments होता है. So ये जो investments होता है ना, these are long term. See, there are two types of investments. One is long term and short term. Short term is also called as current investment, and only investment is also called as long term. So what we can do, we can write here brackets में long term in the format I will write properly long term investments. डिफरेंस क्या होता है? लॉन्ग टर्म मतलब आज मैंने इन्वेस्ट किया, मैं कम से कम 1 साल रखूंगा अपने पास. I will encash it after 1 year, that is long term. And suppose today if I make an investment where I sell it in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, before 1 year, then it becomes current investment or short term. तो ये जो हेड है इन्वेस्टमेंट, मेन हेड, यहाँ पे सिर्फ लॉन्ग टर्म आता है, वेयर द इंटेंशन इज टू सेल आफ्टर 1 year, where the intention is to sell after 1 year. Okay. Next, third, fixed assets first, investment second, third is working capital. Third is working capital. Now why I underline this and not the others? What is working capital? Working capital is the capital, it is a short term capital which is used for your day to day business activity. आज मैंने गुड्स परचेज किया, पेमेंट किया, बिजनेस का एक्सपेंसेस इनकर किया, पेमेंट किया. सो द मनी विच यू नीड फॉर incurring your day to day business expenses, that we call it as working capital. And the definition of working capital is in terms of accounting equations. You all have done FYJC में current assets, current liability. ये long term था बराबर. Current assets are those assets which the amount of which changes on a daily basis or on a regular basis, which doesn't remain fixed. Example, cash, bank balance, debtors, stock, bill receivable, prepaid expenses, all these are your current assets. Amount regular basis पे change होता है. Now if I buy building का amount remains same only unless and until you depreciate. But every day change नहीं होगा. But आज मैंने goods खरीदा बेचने के लिए. Today I buy, sell, amount change होते रहेगा. Cash and bank, आज पैसा आया, दोपहर को पे किया, कल वापस आया, वापस पे किया. Keeps on changing. Debtors, पैसा आया, I sell goods on credit, वापस पैसा आया, I sell goods on credit. ऊपर नीचे होता रहता है. These are current assets. So those assets जिसका amount keeps on changing regularly, or those assets which are of short term in nature, are called as current assets. So what is working capital? Working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. Working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. Now see, I explain you current assets, current liability. I don't know how many of you all remember FYJC ka basic. Any liability which is to be paid, within a period of 1 year is called as current liability. How I told you, investments अगर 1 साल के बाद बेचोगे long term, 1 साल के पहले बेचोगे तो short term. Similarly, liabilities which are to be paid within a period of 1 year is current liability, and which is to be paid after a period of 1 year, that is long term liability. And I was waiting for this point to come. Long term liability will be a part of borrowed funds. So amounts which are to be paid after 1 year, where you take a loan, then that is a part of borrowed funds, and which is to be paid within a year, that is current liability. इसमें भी there are points, but SYJC level में ज़्यादा deep में जाने का जरूरत नहीं है. When you are going degree college, that time you all will study in detail. So that is the meaning of that. Got it? So see, sources, 2 parts, owners funds, shareholders funds, both names. Second, borrowed funds. And application, 3 parts, fixed assets, long-term investments, working capital. And working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. Got it, guys? Now what I will do is, I will take a basic question where I've just kept items very simple. Understand this so you get the base of it. Remember, without knowing the working capital, without knowing the vertical format of balance sheet, you won't be able to do common size and comparative. Okay? Now I'll just prepare the format and be back. Okay guys, now see, let's read the question, then I'll tell you how to prepare the format. All of you will have the question in front of you. Convert the following balance sheet of Koyna Traders as on 31st March 25 into vertical balance sheet. It's a very small balance sheet. Capital reserves, 10% loan, current liabilities, fixed assets, investments, current assets. Okay, chalo, let's start. Now what I told you, vertical balance sheet will be in two parts, sources and application. So let's write the first heading, capital block letters में लिखना. अच्छा, before that, you'll make the format, vertical balance sheet of Koyna Traders as on 31st March 25. पूरा पेज ले लो, particulars, amount. Take full page, particulars and two columns of amount. How we do journal ना, वैसे two columns of amount. Actually in few sums I'll be making three, but आज के sum में two ही जरूरत है, third नहीं है. I'll tell you why I make third when I start the sum. Okay? So this will be the heading, particulars, amount. पूरा ले लो. Now give the first heading, capital block letters में sources of funds. Capital block letters में sources of funds. Sources of funds मतलब पैसा कहां से आया. What I told you, two sources, एक खुद का पैसा. So now write like that. Roman 1, owners funds. Owners funds, we also call it as shareholders funds. But as I told you, the word shareholders funds we will use only when we are doing for company. And even for company, you can use the word owners funds. अभी देखो मैंने क्या बोला ब्रैकेट्स में, capital plus reserves. Now see, if it is a company, you all know equity share and preference shares आता है. You all have done accounting for shares. This is a sole trader. तो खाली capital कितना है? capital 5 lakhs. So what you do? Owners funds में write capital, put in the first column 5 lakhs. Capital, put in the first column 5 lakhs. Why in the first column? Second column में final head का figure जाएगा. That means owners funds का final answer will come in the second column. Don't worry guys, ध्यान से सुनना. I am making it very simple. आज मैं यही सम कर रहा हूँ. Next class I'll take a recording on income statement. उसके बाद I'll get into the main part so that your concept is clear. Okay. Now what I told you. To that we add reserves. Reserves मतलब past profits created by the company or a firm or a sole trader. दिया straight away reserves. Sometimes they'll give you general reserve, profit and loss, reserve fund. Admission में भी किया है. So that you have to add it. So what I'll do, to this capital, add reserves. We also call it as reserves and surpluses. That is 2 lakhs. Now for better presentation, दोनों को add करो. So 5 plus 2 lakhs, 7 lakhs. Now what I told you, what is the breakup of owners funds? Capital plus reserves minus fictitious assets. So 5 lakh plus 2 lakhs, 7 lakhs. From this, I will deduct fictitious assets. I gave you the example of fictitious asset. It means expenses incurred, the benefit of which you get over a period of years, or it also includes accumulated losses. You all have done admission, retirement, debt dissolution. Sometimes P&L is there on the asset side. अगर ये सब में P&L asset side पे होता, it would be fictitious. Remember, capital reserves will always be on the liability side, and what you deduct from sources will be on the asset side. But as I told you, fictitious assets for this chapter, it's very rare for your syllabus. मैंने ये सब में रखा भी नहीं है. So there is no fictitious asset, so nil. So now 7 lakh minus 0, take the answer outside 7 lakh. What I told you, second column is for writing the final answer of the main head. यहाँ पे main head है तुम्हारा owners funds. Got it? So I'll repeat. First part of the balance sheet, sources of funds. मतलब पैसा कहां से आया. And the second thing, first source is खुद का पैसा, capital plus reserves minus fictitious. Now I come to the second fund, that is जो borrow किया, we call it as borrowed funds. So the second is borrowed funds. So इसको भी मैं capital में लिखता हूँ. Second is borrowed funds. Borrowed funds मतलब मैंने borrow किया. Borrowed funds मतलब मैंने borrow किया. This will also be on the liability side. देखो, below reserves, 10% loan. Now, when they give you loan, or in case of company debentures or bank loan, all these are treated as borrowed funds. So only loan also will be long term. So that will be borrowed funds. So right here 10% loan. Now guys listen. अगर एक से ज्यादा लोन होता ना, मैं उसको फर्स्ट कॉलम में लेके टोटल लेता था. यहाँ पे मैंने क्या किया, ओनर्स फंड इज कैपिटल रिजर्व लेस फिक्टिशियस. So everything will come in the inner column. After adding subtracting, it will come outside. But borrowed fund में ऐसा नहीं है, एक ही लोन है. So because there is only one loan, straight away इसको second column में ले लो, that is 1 lakh. Got it? Straight away उसको second column में ले लो 1 lakh. That's it. As far as the summary, first part is concerned, sources of funds. Sources of funds मतलब पैसा कहाँ से आ रहा है. So 7, now take the total. 7 lakh plus 1 lakh, that is 8 lakhs. This is my balance sheet ka total. Now what we call it as? This is my total funds available, or we call it as capital employed. I write both the names. So this is total funds available, or you call it as capital employed, and this in brackets you write like 8 lakh कैसे आया, 7 plus 1, 7 is 1, 1 lakh is 2, so 1 plus 2. Nice and an excellent way of presenting. So this is half of your balance sheet. First part, sources मतलब कहाँ से पैसा आया, ओनर्स फंड्स खुद का पैसा, borrowed funds जो मैंने borrow किया, that gives you total funds available or capital employed. Total funds available or capital employed. Clear? This part is done. Funds available मतलब मेरे पास 8 लाख है. अभी वो 8 लाख में कहाँ यूज करूंगा, that will see. Vertical means what? One below the other लिखते जाओ. There is no debit credit, there is no left and right, like how we have in normal balance sheet. Left side liabilities, asset liability, asset on the right side, sorry. So same way vertical balance sheet is one below the other. Okay, next main heading, application of funds. Next main heading, application of funds. Now application of funds is splitted, divided in 3 parts. सबसे पहले क्या, fixed assets. Now guys listen, suppose they give you the breakup of fixed assets ना, जैसे land, building, plant, machinery. I will put one below the other in the first column and take उसका total in the second column. But as I told you, यहाँ पे it is very basic, straight away दिया हुआ है, सीधा asset side. कितना है fixed asset, 6 lakhs. So straight away in the second column I will write 6 lakhs. Again I'll repeat, अगर तुमको fixed assets का breakup दिया रहता, जैसे land 4 lakhs, computer इतना, furniture इतना, I would have written in the first column and total bar. But because they have just given you the total of fixed assets, straight away in the second column. Second, as I told you, investments, and when nothing is mentioned, it is long term. So Give the heading second, long-term investments. Give the heading long-term investments. Now see, what do you mean by long-term investment? Again, I'll brush up. If I make an investment where I encash it after 1 year, that is called as my long-term investments. Again, the same thing. Suppose they tell you equity shares long-term itna, debenture of company itna, bank deposit itna, you will put it in the first column. But यहाँ पे again the breakup is not given. They have straight away given you investment ka amount. So 1,50,000. Remember, only investment is always long term. Suppose they tell you short term, then it will be a part of current assets. Got it? So see, application ka first fixed assets, second investments. Got it? Now what is the third part? Working capital. Right. Number 3, working capital. Number 3, working capital. Now what I told you, day-to-day capital required for incurring day-to-day business activities ka expenses, that is working capital. That is nothing but the difference between your current assets and current liabilities. That is your difference between current assets and current liabilities. Now see, they can give you the breakup of current assets, like they can give you stock, debtors, bank, like that. If breakup of current assets was given, I would have made a third column. But it's very rare in your syllabus. In my regular lectures, I'll be doing 1 or 2 sums with 3 columns also. But यहाँ पे not required because current assets का figure दिया है. Okay? So now see, कितना है मेरा current assets? 1 lakh. So right there, current assets. Now remember, working capital का amount is the amount you get after deducting current liabilities. So put it in the first column, 1 lakh. Got it? Now if you see balance sheet में क्या बचा? Current liabilities. To get the working capital from the current assets, I have to deduct current liabilities. So deduct less current liabilities. कितना है current liabilities? Current liabilities है 50,000. So write 50 in the first column. Now see, working capital is current assets minus current liability. So 1 lakh minus 50,000 gives you 50. Getting it? Now see, when you prepare normal balance sheet, it has to tally. Na? Tally means what? Total of liability and assets have to be the same. Same way यहाँ पे भी होना चाहिए. देखो कितना है मेरा total 8 lakhs. 6 and 150, 750, 750 and 58 lakhs. Normal balance sheet, T form, horizontal. लेफ्ट साइड राइट साइड का टोटल सेम होना चाहिए. यहाँ पे टॉप पार्ट बॉटम पार्ट का टोटल सेम होना चाहिए. सो दिस इज योर वर्टिकल बैलेंस शीट. नाउ सी, टोटल फंड्स अवेलेबल 8 लाख. मेरे पास 8 लाख अवेलेबल था. वो 8 लाख का मैंने क्या किया? हाउ टू इंटरप्रेट? 8 लाख में से 6 लाख इन्वेस्टेड है फिक्स एसेट्स में, 150 इन्वेस्टेड है लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट्स में, and 50 is invested in working capital. So these funds which were available, I have utilized here. So total funds utilized, which again we can also call it as capital employed. Which we can also call it as capital employed. Total funds available, total funds utilized, or at both the places called capital employed. It's better use the word capital employed because आगे जाके ratios आएगा ना, there we use the word capital employed in couple of formulas. So that will be better thing. Got it? So guys, this was your vertical balance sheet. नॉर्मल बैलेंस शीट हॉरिजॉन्टल टी फॉर्म बनाओ या वर्टिकल, बोथ द केसेस में इट हैज टू टैली। वहां पे लायबिलिटी एंड एसेट्स का टोटल सेम होना चाहिए, यहाँ पे सोर्सेज एंड एप्लीकेशन का टोटल सेम होना चाहिए। वहां पे लायबिलिटीज का टोटल सेम होना चाहिए एंड यहाँ पे एप्लीकेशन का टोटल सेम होना चाहिए। गॉट इट? सो दैट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट, sources of funds and application of funds, breakup of this vertical balance sheet. Got it guys? As I told you, this is very important because आगे जाके जो कॉमन साइज और कंपैरेटिव आएगा, format is based on this. Of course, there's a different format for income statement which I'll take it in the next video. Got it? And degree college में भी तुमको ये थोड़ा advanced level पे आएगा. SYJC में the level is basic. So that's it guys. We started with the chapter analysis of financial statements. I give you the brief what is there in the chapter, 4 parts, and as I told you before we start the first part, we have to understand preparation of vertical financial statement. We did the first part, balance sheet, vertical balance sheet. Next class mein I will take vertical income statement and then I'll get into comparative and common size. Please understand this carefully, and before we meet in the next class, see to it that this is perfect. This video is open on YouTube. You can watch it as many times you want, rewind forward करते जाओ. Those students who are studying with me, app पे भी है, I have kept more views. Rewind forward करो जितनी बार देखना है. Please get the concept clearly, because अगर ये part समझ में नहीं आया, you will struggle a bit in the common size का part and comparative का part. That's it guys. I wind up the session here. Please do revise before we meet in the next class. Till then, take care guys.